Humans have accomplished so much as a species, from the art of war to the fine arts. But what made all of this possible? The answer lies in the Neolithic age. Even though it may have been the beginning of a lethargic era of obesity, the Neolithic agricultural revolution was a crucial point in history. Going from approximately 10,000 to 3000 BCE, it diverted the way of human life from nomadic hunter-gatherers to sedentary agrarians. It began in the Fertile Crescent, or what is now modern-day Iran and northern Africa, and eventually spread around the globe. This revolution created many of the modern practices we use today, such as politics, religion, and certain types of technology such as the olive oil press and the wheat grinder. It also gave us a surplus of food, providing better immunities to diseases and longer lifespan. This turning point in history created the modern world we live in today. There were several causes that led up to this change. Formation of religion was close to the beginning, and in some religions, agriculture was used as a ritual. The Fertile Crescent proved very favorable for growing crops, as it had long and rainy summers, along with short and comparatively warm winters. They created fertile soil, making it an ideal spot for farming. Once people began to settle down, men continued to hunt while women stayed home to tend to the crops. This created two things: specialized jobs and gender division. There were many types of specialized jobs, some more important than others. For example, as it was a very big time for farming, it was very important to tend to the crops. This was also a very big time for the domestication of animals, for not only pets, but also for meat. This began with the dog, long before the revolution took place. This may have inspired people to try and domesticate other animals to use for food. Some of the first domesticated animals were some of the ones we still use for food today, such as the cow and the sheep. As many jobs were more important than others, so were people. This was a time in which we developed a concept of hierarchy. There was a major spike in population, and more people means more chaos. The overgrown population was hard to control. With someone in charge to set down laws, it was much easier and more orderly. The Stone Age itself, though, provided enough change. With mastery of stone, humans were able to raise efficiency by an uncountable amount. Though the Stone Age tools are often mistakenly seen as the same, there were different stages in development, which also distinguished the three parts of the Stone Age. The Paleolithic was when stone was first used as a tool, and the tools made from it were chipped and jagged. By the Neolithic, though, the tools had become polished and smooth. With stone tools, there was also time for pottery, but aside from the arts, the more important thing was that they made useful machines that we have improved and still use today, such as the olive oil press. In Ireland, also known as Eriu, traces of cereal grains have been found, showing that the Neolithic people did use their machines to some extent. This proved that the Neolithic was a time of change and development. There were many methods of farming used in agriculture. For example, one popular one used was slash and burn agriculture, in which one would slash and burn an area to level it down. Farming was also a major aspect in building cities. There were also many other important aspects to be taken into account, such as water and precipitation, mild climates, and nearness to food other than agriculture. In these cities, complex systems of hierarchy and authority were developed. People with higher life expectancies were usually placed up higher in authority. High up in authority were government officials such as trading ministers and secretaries of defense. The Neolithic organized many common modern ethical beliefs, such as kids must obey their parents and all must obey the government. Many rules of society were also organized, such as sharing is caring, you must follow your duties, you have to fight to protect your group from enemies, and it is wrong to steal. The Neolithic people also developed many modern practices we use today, such as mining for precious stones, such as lapis lazuli, and burial practices. At the heart of every revolution is the people behind it. Possibly the most famous civilization in the Neolithic was the Sumerian civilization. They were the first ones to develop a written language, and each city-state even had their own army. The Phoenicians were another Neolithic civilization. Even though the first written language originated with the Sumerians, the Phoenicians were the ones who created the phonetic alphabet. Although different civilizations had their own respective accomplishments, together they accomplished many of the same things. They were able to develop many different types of agricultural technologies. Some of these included the saddle quern and primitive systems of irrigation. The sedentary Neolithic lifestyle required some type of settlement. Neolithic shelters are very simple and usually made out of stone or dirt. Only one story, they are not used today because they cannot accommodate to modern needs. Even though this idea died out, other ideas survived the test of time. Perhaps the biggest change in the Neolithic was the spike in population. Hunter-gatherers had a lot of time on their hands, so there was a population increase. With more people, it was harder to find food for everybody. Some scientists think that this is what inspired agriculture. Another short-term impact would be a huge spike in life expectancy. Due to consumption of food with a high caloric content, we had sustenance to survive the harsh winters. But there are many things that the Neolithic did that will last us much longer. Everything is balanced by pros and cons. Agriculture's main con is that it is hard, back-breaking work. In fact, agriculture was so hard that it demanded a need to buy other people and make them break their backs in your service. Sedentary Neolithic lifestyle created a skyrocket in population density. Close contact meant an easier spread of germs and diseases. Some factors that contributed to this rapid spread of disease were large piles of excrement due to lack of proper sanitation methods and lack of a varied diet. Though this happened in ancient history, it still lives on today. Society as we know it would not exist today if it wasn't for the Neolithic agricultural revolution. Even today, approximately 60% of our population is 2.5% Neanderthal. These people have created our life. They shaped and sculpted it with their bare hands, and today we add things on and on. They founded our future just like we are founding it for someone else. Though the Neolithic people are long gone, their legacies still live on with us. This revolution was truly a turning point in history.
Our project focuses on farming and a time when it was really redefined what it means to live. To find out more about it, I had a behind-the-scenes interview with Mark. He's a farmer at the Gilchrist Orchard. What is it like being a farmer?
Well, it's kind of fun. It beats having a real job inside, so it's, you get different stuff to do all the time. It does not get monotonous.
What kinds of work do you have to do?
Well, a lot of it is adding soil amendments to the soil, working on crop rotation, planting timing of when you put things planting, try to do the schedule of all the work that needs to be done.
Okay. What kinds of crops do you grow?
We grow about 35 different types of crops. We have fruit trees, so apple, peach, pear, plum, fluot, apriums. We have figs, pomegranates, and then we grow pumpkins, tomatoes, garlic, onions, potatoes, sweet potatoes, okra, all kinds of different squash.
Cool. What plants are appropriate for different seasons?
Yeah, it's hard to answer that question very well because there's just time. Everything has its own timing.
Okay, thank you.